I'm willing to bet that in 2023, we see Travis Kelce fly off the board at a record ADP. But what do you do after Travis Kelce? Who's the next man up? The tight end position is a complete mess. Headliners, I got my top 15 tight ends for you today, and we've got really Travis Kelce, the best of the rest, and then how much do you trust a guy on a weekly basis? We're gonna break it down for you right now. Travis Kelce at number 1. He's the only tight end that you can draft and fully rely on for an entire season. And I'm willing to bet that we see him go anywhere from the mid to the late first round this year. George Kittle's gonna be at number 2 for me. It sounds like there's a chance that Brock Purdy could still make it back from his surgery and be the starter at the beginning of the season. He loved George Kittle at the end of 2022. But whether it's him or Trey Lance, George Kittle is an absolute beast. And even though he's got some injury issues, we know that when he plays, he's going to give us some decent numbers. Mark Andrews is going to have additional weapons around him that he hasn't been used to in years past. But we know Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews connect on a different level. So hopefully he doesn't lose a ton of targets to these extra weapons, but they do help take some of the pressure off of him, and he gets a ton of one-on-one matchups. TJ Hockenson takes a small dip for me in the rankings. Jordan Addison is definitely going to command a lot of targets from Kirk Cousins. And even though he does drop to number 4, I could see his games being a little bit more consistent than either George Kittle or Mark Andrews. But I definitely think maybe their ceilings are a little bit higher and their bigger games are a little bit bigger. Dallas Goedert is the number 2 on the Eagles offense. And I know Devontae Smith truthers don't want to hear that. But when he is on the field, he is absolutely getting targets from Jalen Hurts. And he is a guy that will be consistent even if those big games aren't that big. Darren Waller at number 6. He's got a new home in New York. But will he connect with Daniel Jones? We already know that he's basically the best weapon on the team for Daniel Jones to target. But will that relationship show come season time? Fingers crossed it does. This is where things start to get a little bit dicey at the tight end position, because while I love the potential of all these guys, they have a lot of situations within their teams that could prevent them from being huge upside plays. Last year with Kenny Pickett's, Pat Freiermuth was the tight end 2 in terms of targets per game. Pickett absolutely loved Patty F. But they've brought in a guy like Allen Robinson. They've revamped the offensive line, which could allow them to run the football more. And you can't forget about the weapons around him like George Pickens and, of course, Deontay Johnson. So is Pat Freiermuth going to get enough targets this year? And that is the question mark. The addition of Bijan Robinson in Atlanta not only reinforces the fact that Atlanta is going to run the football, but they've already talked about using Bijan Robinson in the slot and moving him around for different formations. You have Drake London, who came out last year and had a big rookie season. Is Kyle Pitts going to be able to come back from his injury and give us what we have hoped for in the past? Maybe not volume-wise. We're going to have some huge efficiency for him to get anywhere close to the top 5. Dalton Schultz at number 9, and let's just be honest, who in the heck else is CJ Stroud going to throw to in Houston? Dalton Schultz is going to be a huge safety blanket for him. Evan Ingram is coming off a career year in Jacksonville, was a league winner for a lot of people in fantasy football, but Calvin Ridley is coming back from suspension, and that is definitely going to throw a wrench into the amount of targets that Ingram could get. David Njoku last season was a big target for Deshaun Watson at times. He was better with Jacoby Brissett at the beginning of the year, but he was definitely looked at the red zone a little bit more when Deshaun Watson took over. But now they've added Elijah Moore. Again, what are we going to do with all the targets there? Outside of a couple of huge games for Cole Kmet, he didn't do a whole lot else. But Justin Fields was definitely looking his way. But now adding DJ Moore, you've got Darnell Mooney coming back and a revamped backfield with Roschon Johnson and Khalil Herbert. Obviously, Justin Fields is going to run the football. Is there going to be enough volume, or is Cole Kmet just completely touchdown dependent? Speaking of touchdown dependency, Juwan Johnson is probably the biggest red zone threat outside of the top 3 or 4 tight ends on this list. I absolutely love his touchdown potential every single week. And if Alvin Kamara were to be suspended, that's just more opportunity of targets for him to get. Juwan Johnson is definitely a big sleeper of mine that I could see shooting up into the top 8 tight ends by the end of the year. My boy Chiggy Oko from Tennessee definitely has huge breakout potential this season. I mean, I already mentioned it with some other teams, but who else is Tennessee going to throw to? You've got Treylon Burks, and then you've just got a cast of other people. For Chiggy Oko, he's absolutely got the potential to really be a volume play that gives you touchdown potential every single week. Let's see if the consistency that we need from him ends up showing up though. And at 15, Dawson Knox. I kind of flip-flop between a couple of different people here. I thought about throwing Taysom Hill in there for you Taysom Hill truthers. I talked about potentially putting Zach Ertz in there, but we still don't know when he'll be back for sure. Hunter Henry's another guy that could have been here, but for me, I'll stick with Dawson Knox. He's just going to be very touchdown dependent this year with Dalton Kincaid coming in and playing the slot probably quite a bit. So if Dawson Knox is not scoring touchdowns, he may not be getting you a lot of points. Yo, Headliner Nation, there's my top 15 tight ends. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you dislike the video, hit the dislike button. But whether or not you do that, leave a comment down below and let me know your sleeper tight end for the season. A guy that if you miss out on the first couple of tight ends, you're waiting till later on to draft. And if you're new here, you got to hit that subscribe button, become a part of Headliner Nation. Peace out, stay safe and healthy, and I'll catch you all in the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.